Hi, this is Representative Al Baldasau, and this is once again on Who's Looking Out for You. I am honored here to have some special guests today. Of course, my co-host here, Representative Sharon Packett, the Speaker of the House. But before I get into my special guest here, there's something I wanted to touch that's very near and dear to my heart. As a legislator for the past 16 years, I am getting ready to retire, okay? But there was a letter written by Scott Bristol saying Christine Perez's new blood is desperately needed in Concord. Let me tell you about the new blood. The new blood has no idea, okay, except the ones that I have sitting here, okay, on what we've done in the state of New Hampshire. They, each and every one of them, listened to the moms at the school board, and we went to Concord, as I told you at the board, we will make a difference here, and we're listening to you. There was no need for each one of our legislators to come and speak because I spoke. Representative Sharon Packett was there. Senator Sharon Carson came and spoke. There was no reason whatsoever. So this stuff in the paper about we need new change, your legislators passed a lot of good stuff, and we're going to talk about it today. With that, let's go to our guests here today. I'd like to introduce soon-to-be Representative Laura.
Hi.
Okay. Ron Dunn. Yeah. You all know Representative Sharon Packett and, of course, Representative Wayne McDonald. Before we get started in the show here, let's do a quick 30-second. We'll start with Wayne. Wayne, why are you running again?
Well, it's been an honor these last 2 years to represent Londonderry. I had the privilege of serving on the Election Law Committee, on the House Redistricting Committee, and on the Speaker's Advisory Group. I think in all of those areas we did some great stuff, particularly in the areas of election integrity, which is a major concern. In addition to that, I have the privilege of supporting HB2 and all the great legislation in there, like banning CRT and sending $100 million back to the cities and towns. I want to continue to serve and vote in that regard and support that kind of good legislation.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, you've done a great job over the years. You've been there. Your father was the president of the Senate. I mean, it'd be a loss for you to, with this garbage they put out, new change. What are you running again for, sure?
Well, I've had the pleasure of representing the citizens of Londonderry for 32 years. I've always said that when I stop making a difference, I'll stop running, and I've been able to make a difference every term I've been up there. And we made a huge difference this past term, with Al and Wayne and the other reps from Londonderry. We passed the most conservative budget in state history. We have 5 pages of other legislation that we passed that is good for the citizens of Londonderry, and I'm hoping to serve another term. I am running for Speaker again, and I know we can continue doing some of the good things that we've done. We want to concentrate, on reducing some of the regulations, needless regulations we have, and really take a close look at some of the licensing requirements we have, along with putting together another great budget. So that's why I'm running again.
Okay. Before I get to the new candidates that are running, just a few words, and I'm sure you agree with me. I had the opportunity to serve with Dave Lundgren on my committee. I was the chairman of State and Federal Relations Veterans Affairs. Dave Lundgren done a great job, second to none. He was always there for the veterans. He was involved in other stuff and opioids and other medical issues there, but he couldn't be here today. Doug Thomas, another great state rep, vice chair of Science and Technology, done a great job. Voted on many of the bills like we all did on less taxes. We all know less spending equals less taxes. The same thing with Tom Dolan. Tom Dolan was the chairman of municipal and county municipal, and done a great job on that committee fighting for Londonderry. Every one of us made damn well sure Londonderry was a priority, and we put them first when we made decisions, making sure school funding was taken care of in other areas. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Let's go right to Laura.
Well, I'm Laura Ellazam, and I've lived for 20 years in Londonderry, and over that time I've had the opportunity to advocate for various life, liberty, and school issues. And during that time I got to meet many of our current state legislators. Our state reps, in my opinion, have done a great job. I can always count on them to be voting the right way on most of the bills. But the fact is we need a stronger Republican conservative majority in Concord, and that's really the reason why I'm running, so that we can keep the New Hampshire advantage, so that we can re-empower parents to run their own children and families' lives, so that I can stand up for life and keep our taxes low, so all of you have more money in your pocket to spend, save, or give away as you see fit.
Awesome. Ron?
Hi, my name is Ron Dunn. I'm running because I want to make sure that we have no income tax, no sales tax, that parents still have a choice if they want a mask or not. I want to make sure that we keep the values that these people have already given to us. I want to make sure they're not taken away. And I want to continue what our reps have already done for us. So I'd like to see it continue and not change.
Awesome. I'm going to start off with Mr. Speaker. Okay, you know, you led the charge on the House. You run the show, and you made damn well sure Republican platform constitutional issue was passed. Let's start with talk about some of the issues there that we, you know, good things that we passed there at the House that helped the school moms, especially here in Londonderry.
Well, there was a number of things we did, you know, for the situation that we're in. That I don't know what they did 100 years ago when the pandemic hit New Hampshire, but the legislature only met 2-3 months out of the year. You know, now we're on a annual meeting schedule, and we had to do some pretty strange things to get through our sessions. Every time I go someplace, there isn't a person that asks us about our drive-in theater we had, you know, and how
was
we
fun.
pulled it off. Mm-hmm. And, you know, in the middle of winter, you have a drive-in theater on a session day, and of all those days, January 6th. So it, you know, we had challenges that no other speaker or leadership group had, and I think we did one heck of a job getting through it, and with almost 0 cases of COVID being contracted. So I think we did a hell of a job. Now, we do have a number of things we did. Of course, one of the big things, a couple of the big things we did is, which I think most people don't understand, are unaware of, is we sent $100 million back in the SWEP fund alone. That's a statewide property tax. And the way we did it is we made sure that it went to reducing taxes. So we just didn't send it back to the cities and towns to be used however they wanted to. We collect like $355 million from the statewide property tax for education. So what we did is we put $100 million into the fund so that they only had to collect $255 million, which is a direct impact on the taxpayers of the state. And we also have a number of other ones.
Before you walk away from that, I want the two new candidates to understand. Everyone yells they want more money from the state, right? Sure, who is the state? Is the state each and every one of us, every homeowner? If we put more money in there, we have to tax more?
The more you spend, the more you tax.
All right, I just want to clarify that on them calls we get saying, oh, you got to raise the statewide education property tax. Oh, we're not getting enough money. That means we have to, am I right,
Absolutely.
Wayne?
Exactly,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, and then we sent in other areas, we also sent close to another $300 million back in property tax relief for building and building aid, roads, bridges, and a number of other things. But one of the other things that we did in House Bill 2 was we passed the Education Freedom Account, which finally gives parents a chance to send their child to the best school they feel is in the best interest of that child. And we've had a great response from them, and contrary to the rhetoric you're hearing out of the Democratic Party, this is not taking money out of the school district. This is helping a child go to the school that's best going to serve that child and give them the best education possible.
You trying to tell us one size doesn't fit all? Is that what you mean? Is that what you're trying to say?
Well,
Mr. Speaker?
that's one way to
Is
put it.
that one way?
That's one way to put it,
All right,
Representative.
just checking, all right.
You know, that's a couple of the things we did. I mean, we also, for 20 years, they've been trying to get some type of a ban on abortion up to a certain point. So what we did for the first time in 20 years, we banned abortion after 6 months. Contrary to all the rhetoric you're seeing out there from the Democrats, we did not ban abortion completely. We banned it after 6 months. That's the 7th, 8th, and 9th month. Period.
You know, I co-sponsored the heartbeat bill. Of course, me being a pro-life guy and had a girlfriend that had a abortion, I would have preferred getting that passed. But it didn't get passed. But at least we did the 24-week, and I know
did the
that was near
24
and
weeks.
dear.
It was near
You know what I
and dear,
mean, to your
yeah.
heart there, which is a win-win for New Hampshire. Because wasn't it, Wayne, I think, wasn't it that you could kill a baby up until the day of being
Sure,
born?
partial birth
Yes.
abortion.
Abortion,
Yeah.
partial
Yeah.
birth, I mean, it's a shame, and most New Hampshire people didn't know that. I even had, pro-choice women come up and say, hey, thank you for that, passing that. So it was a win-win, so I didn't mean to cut you off there, Sharon, but go
Well,
ahead.
the thing that I'm aggravated about is a lot of these commercials you're seeing on TV, put out by the Democrats saying that Sununu banned abortion and the House banned abortion.
Nope.
It's an outright lie.
Yeah.
We didn't ban abortion. We put a ban on abortion after 6 months. And I've had numerous people come up to me and say, what the hell did you do? I said, what do you mean? Well, you banned abortion. I said, no, we didn't.
Right.
So there's a lot of people out there that are being misled by these false ads being put out by the Democratic Party.
And that was perfectly clear in the last session too,
Right.
because there were so many attacks on that bill, even before it was put into effect.
Without a doubt, I
The
agree.
bill was,
Ron, have
thoroughly
you,
vetted, hearings, debates on the floor and everything. It was extensively considered by every
yeah.
legislator.
Now, Ron,
regardless
you
of
were
their
saying earlier you were knocking on doors.
Yes.
Have you gotten any feedback or anything like that on, from abortions or anything like that,
The hot topic out there right now is inflation.
inflation?
People
Yeah.
are saying to me, how am I gonna fill my oil tank this winter? That's what people are asking me, when I'm out door knocking. And if Laura's heard the same things or not, but people are concerned about what they're gonna do this winter.
Right.
They're not really talking about abortion right now.
Well, you hit something on the money. If you're watching this show here, Republicans are big on this. Please support the food pantry,
Yeah,
because it is
absolutely.
gonna be a rough winter,
Yeah.
coming forward.
Yeah.
I'll be in Florida, but, you all will be here, and I'll be
Yeah.
back after the snow,
Yeah.
goes. Laura, what have you been hearing before we go back to this, Mr. Speaker?
Well, the main thing is the economy, like Ron said. People are just wondering about the price of gas, how they're gonna be putting food on the table. It's really putting a dent in everybody's family budget. And I have had a few people talk about abortion with me, but it's usually because they are surprised to find out how extreme the Democrats' position is. That you should be able to kill a fetus until the day it's born.
Right.
That they did not want to support a bill that would have provided health care for babies born alive due to an abortion. I mean, it's really remarkable how extreme the Democrat position is. And that surprises a lot of people that I've
Right.
spoken to.
Well, I heard you were pushing, or the Republicans were pushing to add some of that revenue into the heating money there for the help low income.
What we're trying to do is there's two. One was a program the governor was looking at, and one was a program that I actually came up with. Is the governor's program is to reimburse everybody $100 on their electric bill, because the price of electricity is going to go up quite a bit. Not because the four entities in New Hampshire, the utilities in New Hampshire are making any more money. This goes back to the generators, where most of them are natural gas. So natural gas is going through the roof, which is causing the generators to raise their prices. And so what's happening is the utilities have to raise their prices, and they're just doing a pass-through. They actually aren't making any more money. But because of the current administration that wants to shut down everything in the country as far as natural gas and oil and everything else, and thinks that all of a sudden everybody's going to have a windmill at their house or something like this, which I think we all realize that we want to convert to renewable energy, but we have to be realistic about it. So the other thing we're looking at was a program that I thought about, is that we're looking at putting together, I think are you familiar with the LIHEAP program, which is the government program for oil for people?
Right.
It's for a family of four, It's $74,500 at 60%. You can qualify for oil subsidies. That program is going to be in good shape this year because I think we got around 25, 30 million coming from the federal government, which you get an allocation every year. But we also got, I think it's $28 million left over, which we're going to put into the fund. So we've got an extra almost double what we normally would have. What I'm looking at and what we've been looking at, and I think we pretty much got all the pieces together, is we're taking another $25 million of the surplus, and we're going to go up a little bit on the income. So those people that have never asked for help before, never had to ask for help before, if oil does go through the roof, which we met with the Oil Dealers Association, and they were honest, we can't tell you. I mean, it's almost day to day for them, and it's day to day for us as to what's really going to happen with home heating oil. So we're putting, our plan is to put $25 million aside and to allocate approximately $450 per household for heating oil up until like $99,000. And again, there'll be some restrictions, but you know, that would give that would help up to roughly 50,000 households.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
we're working on that. We think we've got most of the pieces done. It is a piece of legislation we're gonna have to vote on veto day, because we need to approve the appropriation to
Well,
move
you
it
know,
forward.
everyone thinks Londonderry, they put us at Londonderry, oh, you're a rich town, you're this, you're that. But we got a lot of people here that are, you know, middle class that have suffered, you know, on these high costs. I have solar on my house, 30 panels, okay? I don't generate enough power to power, you know. I just got a bill from the electric company, $398. I'm saying, this is crazy. Not counting the 80-something dollars I have to pay for my lease, you know, of for my solar, you know, and the usage that I get from there. So I can imagine other people out there. I'm glad my wife's working. I'm retired. You know what I mean? Thank God I married a good woman there. You know what I mean? She said, don't sweat it. She'll take care of it. You know what I'm saying, Ron? What do you think? What do you think? You agree with
Oh,
Mr.
absolutely.
Speaker?
That would be great to tell people out of the campaign trail that we're going to try to help them in that way. And that'd be great, because I've heard a lot of people tell me that
Yeah.
they're worried about filling their own tank.
Yeah.
Well,
People may
appreciate
have seen
that.
their income go up a
Yeah.
little bit, but inflation's wiping it right out, so it's good that you're increasing the
Yeah.
income.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the plan is. We've been working on it for quite a while. I think we've got most of the pieces in place. The one unknown we have is, you know, is oil gonna be $4, $4.50, $5, $6, $7? We don't know.
Right.
So, I mean, this should take care of us all the way through up into January when we go back into session. If we have to do more, we can do more. I mean, a couple of the other things we did this year is we put the rainy day fund at its highest level in history. The rainy day fund, I think, stands right now at around $255 million.
That's awesome.
So, you know, that's the highest it's ever been.
We don't have to depend on the federal government. Is that what you're trying to tell me? We can stand up on our own?
It's a good thing we don't have to depend on the federal
Right.
government.
You ain't kidding.
And the surplus, the budget surplus is approximately $400 million.
Wow.
You know, above what we estimated. So, I mean, New Hampshire is in absolute great shape. We're doing great things, and we're giving the citizens back as much money as possible.
If you can hold that spot where you're at, there's one thing that was near and dear to my heart. Of course, I sat on election law years ago when we did the voter ID, when we did the affidavit. Now, you were fortunate to appoint Wayne McDonald as the vice chair. Now, and I was at that recount, Wyndham, and I didn't see the polls and all that stuff like they're saying that was there. You know, with the 300 votes, all the Republicans gained,
right.
and the Democrats went down. What laws did our election law committee, so we can put people at ease, that we tightened up laws and everything on?
Well, and I mentioned this in my latest letter to the editor at the Londonderry Times. SB 418, I think it was Senator Guida's bill. We passed it late in the session, but it basically requires that if a voter just walks in and they don't have any ID, they don't have the proper documentation, they can still vote, but it's going to be that ballot's going to be held to one side for 7 days, and if by the end of the 7th day they haven't produced that verification, that ballot won't be counted. So that was one of the most significant pieces of legislation, and we were concerned because early on, we weren't sure we would have the support. But we got it through the House, the Senate, and the governor did sign it. And so that's going to be huge. And, we try to get other ID bills through, and, in some cases, the Senate's been a little nervous about some of the things we wanted to do. For example, if you give an address and you're applying for an absentee ballot and you want the ballot sent to an address other than your residence, we tried to get a bill like that passed. The Senate basically, it died in committee of conference because they were concerned. Senate's very nervous about things because of SB 3 and some of the good election law legislation that has failed because of the courts, all these liberal judges that 12 years of Democratic governors appointed. But we made some progress. There's probably a dozen or more than I could read through them, but I know time is limited. We're very proud of some of the things we got done. We're going to continue to tighten up election laws as going forward. But that was probably the most significant one, and I think that's going to help a lot, coming up. Unfortunately, given, and you all, Al, very well the give and take that you have to do to get bills passed. We wanted to make it effective for this coming election.
Right.
Unfortunately, it doesn't become law until January of next year.
Well, we need a majority in, a supermajority in the House, and we need a supermajority in the Senate, so we can once and for all fix the Constitution and let people vote on changes in the residency versus, domicile.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we tried that before, but you need what is it, 3/4 of the House in order to pass three, and the Senate?
Yeah,
I can't remember, I've been on vacation too long.
The courts have been, stopping us.
That was a key part of
Some of the
SB
things we
3,
wanted
right?
to do.
As I recall, and so much effort went into Senator Birdsell's bill. And, so much legal examination and everything else, and then for it to be ruled unconstitutional, that was a huge disappointment.
Yeah, it's a shame. Well, let's go back in some of the things that we were talking about, so you know and see, and then I'm gonna hit you on whether you would support us, and, being new candidates, there's no doubt in my mind you got, you're true Republican, conservatives, liberty-minded people.
One of the other things we did in HB2 is we banned the divisive concepts, CRT. And I want to make sure that everybody understands, again, the Democrats are out there saying that we're stopping teachers from teaching history and everything else, which again is an outright falsehood, is an outright lie. All we said is that when you're teaching history, you can't take one race and say, just because the color of your skin, you're a racist. I mean, that's just wrong.
Yep.
And it's giving to me, it's teaching kids an absolute falsehood just because you're Caucasian or something else that you're a racist. That's wrong. And that's what, we banned CRT. Those are the big items.
Well, there were some areas we did, remember the school moms, when I went and
Yeah.
spoke to many meetings there, and they wanted no mask. The House passed it, no mask, the Senate passed it, went to the governor vetoed it because he believed in local control. Local control, the parents spoke, you know what I mean? But I respect the governor, because Ronald Reagan once said, if you're with me 80% of the time, you're not my enemy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and he's with us 80% of the time. So then, what was the other one on the vaccines? Now, he did sign the vaccines where you cannot make it mandatory in the schools or anywhere else. And like I said, I'm one who's still sick from the vaccines I got from Desert Shield. They were, experimental vaccines because of the chemical warfare and other things, the anthrax and stuff. And many of my fellow veterans are still sick from that too today. So that's why I refuse that. And I understand moms and dads making decisions. I have a daughter, 30 years old, she wants to have another kid. She said, Dad, I can't get that vaccine. I'm afraid if something happens, I don't want a kid to come out deformed like what happened with the vaccines that we got from the military. What else did we there was some other stuff we did for the school.
One of the other things we did on the vaccine issue, I mean, whether you're pro or anti-vaccine, I think that should be, up to the individual person.
The parents.
The parents,
Right,
and for a child, but, for yourself. This should be your decision. So one of the things we did, you know, in fact, I was a prime sponsor of it, so we prohibited the state from enforcing overreaching, unconstitutional federal vaccine mandates. So what we said to the federal government was, we are not going to be blackmailed by you and forced into doing something that we don't feel is the right thing to do.
Right.
And I've been fighting federal mandates for 45 years, and I'm gonna continue to fight them. So that,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to take, you know, some big shoes to fill when you get up there. Because, you know something, there's no in between, you either hate it or love it,
Yep.
you know, when it comes to your vote. But as long as you stick with the Constitution,
Absolutely.
you know, and the Republican platform, I mean, I don't support the Republican platform 100%, I support gambling. You know what I mean? And, you know, they're there, but if you're a one-issue person, you're the wrong person. Okay, you have to look at the whole picture. Don't vote for somebody because you like them, because when they get up there, they vote with their platform and the Constitution. The Democrats will tax anything that moves.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't know how many years we fought alongside with Sherman, now with Representative, you know, that we fought, right? And, you know, to stop the taxes, to keep the, as you said, the New Hampshire advantage.
Yeah.
What say you? Are you with them or what?
Oh, I'm with them.
Yeah?
Actually, if you don't mind, I wanted to point out one thing about the school stuff that's been going on. For years and years, the Democrats have been trusted more than Republicans about how to deal with school issues. But we saw that really turn around in 2022, and I actually have a little graph. I don't think you can probably see it very well on the TV, but there was a poll done by an organization that was actually called Democrats for Education Reform, and it showed just how much more the Democrats had been trusted on education issues. But now, all of a sudden, in 2022, there's been this enormous shift where Republicans are trusted more by 4 points more just in the general population. Parents trust Republicans 9 points more, and minorities 10 points more.
Is it because of
So
school choice and things we did?
It's because of all the sorts of things that you've been talking about. Because now parents are seeing the radical extremism that's being pushed in schools. They're seeing CRT, they're seeing really radical gender ideology pushed. They're seeing a lot of secrets being kept from parents, and that's why one of the things that I'm looking forward to, should I be elected, is to get that parents' rights bill passed that you guys passed. Almost, it was so
Yeah.
close.
I voted for
But-
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know how you guys
Right.
voted, but this was one of those instances where we just need a little stronger conservative Republican
Right.
majority, and we need all the legislators showing up, sitting in their seats and voting when it's important.
Now, going on, I don't know if you've gone out, I'm sure you have too, knocking on doors, and anyone could jump in. Have you come across mom and dad that said, I want my kindergarten to learn about sex, I want them to learn about whether they're homosexual, you know, transgender? Has any mom and dad jumped on
It's
that?
not
have
something
not.
for a child to know about.
No one has said that.
That's not something a
Not a
child
Not
should
a
be
single
involved in
person.
and know
Not a
about.
single person
Right,
said that.
because as a father of
Yeah.
7 children and 4 stepkids, and 11 grandkids and 3 great-grandchildren, I'd be kicking in the school door
Yeah.
if they were teaching my kids that, you know, that garbage said.
It's appalling that they'd even consider teaching
Yeah.
them that.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
and especially when we have 50% proficiency rates. Let's stick to reading, writing, arithmetic.
Right.
Let's get the kids
Yeah.
educated.
But
in the
why do the
basics.
Democrats want to teach this? I don't understand it.
I don't know.
Why would you want a kindergarten kid to learn about cross-dressing?
Yep,
It makes no sense. I mean,
I agree.
what do you think, Mr. Speaker?
I think it's terrible what's that schools have transgressed to. I mean, there's just absolutely no reason for some of this.
I mean, I don't think
Beyond-
Londonderry schools,
beyond-
I think we're
beyond
doing pretty
liberal-
good on
Yeah.
this stuff.
liberalism. I mean, the same thing, it goes back to the CRT thing, you know, where teachers were, and I've talked to some teachers, and they said, yeah, it's going on, even though the school systems say it isn't going on. They were teaching that if you're Caucasian, you're a racist,
Yep.
without knowing anything about you, without knowing anything about your background, but because you're Caucasian, you're a racist. That's just wrong. It's just wrong that that is even being considered to be taught in schools. They can still teach history. Nobody's saying not to teach history, but teach it properly and teach it accurately.
That's right.
Nobody's
Absolutely.
saying slavery didn't occur and that it was, nobody's defending slavery. That's part of our history, but again, that doesn't mean that every white person is a racist.
But you know, we put Japanese, Japanese people in concentration camps. We put Italians. We brought over Irish people as slaves, working in homes and other stuff to work off their monies that were owed and everything. If you did a DNA, I always, for many years, thought I was 100% Italian. Do you know I have 3% African blood in me? A lot of people don't know that, but yet every 2 years I'm a racist. when I ran for re-election, I mean, how many times I called you a racist and everything else? You know what I mean? It's just a disgrace on what the Democrats do. Instead of talking about the issues like we're doing right here, like your legislators have done up at the State House to fix these issues, they go into attack mode. I mean, I don't know if you guys are getting attacked now. I'm sure it's coming, or it's behind the scenes.
Not so much yet.
There's no doubt in my mind.
But also, we have some really good watchdogs and advocates here on the town level, people who've been, going to the school board and keeping an eye on what's going on. And I really hope that they and the state level representatives will keep working together. But to re-empower parents is the key, because the more parents we have there looking, the more are
That's right.
involved, keeping their eyes on what their kids are learning, the better we're going to be able to cooperate with the schools and get the kids educated well. So.
Ain't that the truth?
Well, I can tell you, Laura, that one of our first priorities is parental bill of rights.
Yep.
Excellent.
I mean, we've already
gotta
sat
pass.
down and, our leadership team sat down and said, okay, I want to know the first 5 or 6, 10 things that we really want to concentrate
Yep.
on, and that's right up at the top.
That needs to
Yep.
get passed.
What did we lose that vote by, 3 votes?
Three votes.
3 votes. I was so bummed out over that vote.
I was shocked. I
And
was
I was walking around twisting arms on some people that were on the fence, working the vote from the floor there. And on some, they said, I asked them, walk out. I had to tell them, get the hell out, walk out. Why would you screw other parents because you disagree? If you want government run your kids, that's fine. Let parents run their own children. You know what I mean? And some people just don't get it. They think the government's the answer. Yeah, well, it's not. I'm sure. That's why I'm glad you two are stepping
Yeah,
up.
absolutely.
Because we got to make damn well sure that the parents are protected. What else we missing on, Mr.
Well,
Speaker?
what we accomplished, this past session is we probably won about 90% of what we wanted to. I mean, yeah, we had some failures,
Right.
but we also had the smallest majority that we can find in state history as far as majority of a party in charge. We started out with 213. Right now, we're at 205. So on any given day, when you have 400 representatives, and you have that tight a margin, anything can happen.
Right.
We stuck together this past session better than probably all the other sessions that I've been together.
Right.
As far as people showing up. I mean, we made them understand you have to show up. So if we can increase our numbers, which I'm confident we will, increase our numbers, we'll be able to complete, and get parental bill of rights passed. We should be able to pass right to work. So there's some other things that we're working on. One of the other things that we're looking at working on is, with all the stuff we did this year, this past session, we want to start working on over-regulations, between businesses and homes, whatever. But there's so many over-regulations that we could probably get rid of.
That's awesome.
And then we're also going to look at, we have a lot of things in New Hampshire that are required licensed. And we're going to be taking a look at that.
That's great.
Maybe some of these things don't require a license.
Exactly.
And so we're gonna concentrate on some of that stuff also,
There
which
was-
will, in the long run, reduce the regulations that people have to go through, which will, in the long run, save them money and aggravation.
When you talk about regulations, some great things. I mean, being the chair of the Veterans Affairs Committee, of course, with Dave Lundgren's help, and of course, Tom Dolan being a West Pointer, and I don't hold it against him, he was in the Army. But anyways, we passed the bill there where if you're a disabled veteran and you have a college, a GI Bill, college, you can transfer it. Okay, here in New Hampshire, your kids, if 100% disabled veteran, your kids can go to school, college for nothing. Okay, it's waived. So it's a win-win. We have a veteran school pack that we did there. If a veteran family comes into New Hampshire, then their children, if it's in the middle of the school year, like my kids, my sons were so bummed out because the baseball or these other sports stuff were already going on, they couldn't get on the team. So we passed the school pact that throughout New England, that if they show up, you got to put them on the team. You can't, just let that kid go and push him aside. Because the military, you have no choice. They normally transfer
Right.
during the summer, end of summer, during school year, that they come into the place there. So there were some great things we did for veterans here in New Hampshire.
Another thing, you expanded the eligibility for the property tax credit for veterans,
Yes,
too, didn't you?
we did. We expanded that from if you're a disabled veteran, then we went from 2,000 to 4,000 to 7,000. 4,500. I'm sorry. Our town does 4,000. I'm trying to remember the numbers. I've been on summer break, so bear with me. And then we went from 500 to 750. But the key is that it's enabling legislation. Okay, cities and towns, they have to put that in. Versus the state, telling you will. So we did pass some great legislation there, helping veterans out there, and helping because P's. What a lot of people don't realize, we're getting all them new refuelers coming in here from the federal government. Federal government probably funds National Guard probably about 60-70%. So when you hear people saying, "Oh, we want the governor to control the National Guard," well, the state would have to be pumping out billions of dollars in order to support the National Guard with all the equipment we have on a federal level. So it just can't be done. Even building the hangars, money came from the federal government.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But the thing is, with the Speaker's help and the Senate President over there, we were able to get rid of some of the regulations on trying to get buildings built. Instead of taking 2 years, it took them a few months to get things approved and everything. And they were only being nice to do that. So those are just things that we're doing.
So, well, some of the other things that, which, touch on, we touched on $100 million, but we reduced the rooms and meals tax by, from 9 to 8.5%.
Yeah.
Which somebody says, okay, you save a penny or two on a hamburger. Well, every time somebody does a large function, a wedding, or anything like that,
Big
you're
money.
talking thousands of dollars.
That's right.
So that half a percentage point is gonna add up.
What about the,
One of the
stocks?
other biggest things we did for retired people is we're phasing out the interest and dividends tax over a 5-year period. Now, a lot of people have said, well, when I retire, I'm gonna move to Florida or some other state that doesn't tax my interest and dividends, and we know people that have moved out of state for that reason.
Yeah.
Now they can stay in New Hampshire, because that's gonna be phased out.
that was a big complaint I heard many times here in Londonderry, because we got a lot of retarees
Right,
here
we do.
in
Exactly.
Londonderry,
Yep. Absolutely.
Just some of the things that we're doing. We, on the rooms and meals tax, we created a municipal revenue fund, earmarking revenue back to cities and towns and preventing it from being siphoned off to fund state government. That's 30%. We provided $15.6 million for grants for wastewater projects across the state. We provided $83 million in estimated aid to municipalities for fully funding highway block grants. We provided another $67 million for bridge and road repair. $13.6 million in state aid for bridges and projects. This is all things that we did because government was run right, and we had the excess, and we were able to do it, and we were able to send the money back to the people. And that's, I think, been our Republican philosophy for as long as I think I've been alive, is the money is better in your pocket than it is in
Right.
government's pocket.
One of the other things that was near and dear to Londonderry residents, especially in South Londonderry and some of the properties up where I live in North Londonderry on the water issue. The money that was stuck
Yeah.
in there to assist,
Yep.
okay, on, what the softeners and all
Yep.
that other stuff there, the money that came back
Yep.
to the town of Londonderry.
Yep.
Okay, and, which was a win-win, and of course,
Absolutely.
between, the speaker, and Tom Dolan, and, there was a lot of us that had our hands in making sure this has happened. So when you hear people say they want to change it, legislators,
Yeah.
wake up and smell the damn coffee, okay? It's
Specifically-
just not gonna happen, because these legislators that you elected, and I'm not there no more, I'm leaving as of December.
You're still there, Al, you're not
Still
leaving.
You know what I mean? No, I'm still a state rep until
You're there
December.
till December, you're right.
The beginning of the first day or whatever it is. But you guys, and I was proud on the great job that they did, and there's no doubt in my mind that you two will do a great job working, hand in hand with the legislators who have the experience. So, and that's why it's very important to get rid of this, change your legislator. That makes no sense when they look out for the state of New Hampshire. How about adequacy funding? You know what I mean? How we looked out for Londonderry on that. Making sure Londonderry gets their fair share.
Well, we were fortunate. As you said, I mean, I was speaker, you were chairman of state and federal, Tom was chairman in the municipal and county, Wayne is vice chairman of, election law, and, Doug is science and tech. Of course, the people in science and tech have their own language, and
Yeah.
not many people understand it.
You ain't kidding.
But, I mean, they control an awful lot of, the future of this state and country.
When it comes to energy, you ain't kidding, I agree. But we're fortunate because Doug is like a walking dictionary in energy, when it comes to that. He's the guy there. But when you ask him a question, that one answer you want may take a half hour, not just Doug, but anyone on that committee. When they go speak to the floor, a lot of us get up and stand up. I go smoke a cigarette because I already know I'm going to vote, because it's very technical on when they speak, and it just goes on, but they're looking out for the best interest, especially with the energy plan that we passed before, to make sure that New Hampshire's, doing good. I mean, we had no control over what happened with the your electric bill that's going up, because the PUC and with the federal government on whatever costs, like you said, the high fuel.
It's the high fuel.
That's out of our
the
control.
natural gas going into
Right.
the generation plants.
Yeah.
That's causing the increase in the prices.
Right, so don't blame your legislators on that, because we did everything we could, to try to keep them prices down, but we have no control over the gas and oil and everything else, and how to run them. I mean, what is Londonderry here? Isn't there gas, natural gas here in Londonderry?
And some of that wouldn't have happened if the Democrats hadn't have shut down so much as they have.
Right.
As we were talking earlier, we do have to transition, to renewable energy. Nobody's arguing that point. But you have to transition in a reasonable, sensible manner. You can't just all of a sudden shut it off and then turn this on.
Right.
It doesn't work that
The
way.
timetable has been very arbitrary in terms of what they want to do and when they want to do
Yeah.
it.
It's like weeding somebody off the bottle. You just don't cut them off the
Right,
bottle right off the bat. You have to work, take your time. You know what I mean? And when you're working with legislation up there, you don't go for the whole pie. You have to take a little piece here, a little piece there, at a time. And people, some representatives go up there and they want to fix the world. It's not going to happen. You have to do a little bit at a time, and we've been fortunate because you got somebody like Representative Sharon Packett here, who is over the years have taken a piece here, piece there, fixed this, fixed that, went back, roads and bridges, you know what I mean? And it's just the water issue there. We're still waiting on the court case here out of Merrimack. These are things that we're keeping an eye on. That's very important and near and dear to people of Londonderry. So you're going to be able to handle this stuff.
Absolutely. And you mentioned water. There's a $5,000 rebate that's been approved, just so everybody that's watching knows. If anyone needs help filling out the applications, I'm on the HB 737 committee for PFAS. I'd be willing to help anybody. Give me a call. It's a passionate issue for me, water, because I personally am affected.
Right.
So in 2019, we've been on bottled water. So we're looking for St. Cobain to fix
Well,
our water. So
Then you'll be ideal to work hand in hand with the speaker up there,
Absolutely.
because on making sure that you're on the right committee to be
Absolutely.
able to push and keep an eye out for Londonderry, because that's the
Absolutely.
key right there. And if you see something going wrong, it's important to go to the speaker, kick in his door and say, hey,
Absolutely.
of course, it's always open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, and say, hey, Mr. Speaker, this
Yep.
is going on, the Democrats are trying this, because he's not in your committee room all the time.
Right.
What do you think, Laura?
I'm just listening because the science and technology stuff and the water thing, I know that's really something that Ron knows a whole lot about. And I've been paying attention to what goes on in the news, but he knows a lot more about it than I do.
No, like Wayne, we're not duty experts and everything. And that's why it's important to have somebody like Doug, somebody like Wayne on election law. The speaker has to know it all.
Yeah.
There's no, no matter which way, but he listens to the chairs and his vice chairs that advise and let him know what's going on.
It is why you have over 20 committees in the House.
Right,
dealing with all
24, right, 25, I
yeah,
think, right? Yeah.
Specific, all dealing
21
with
now.
specific areas of state government.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're doing the right thing. And you know, I don't know if anyone's seen this letter the speaker wrote there. I did a pretty good job. I got to, give him kudos there. On the Republican management made New Hampshire fiscally strong. Tell us a little bit about that.
That was in response to a Democratic article, I think it was in the Union Leader, that said all the success that we have in New Hampshire for these past 2 years was because of money that came in from Washington.
I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And that just infuriated me so much that they're trying to take credit for what we did. And so we put the letter together, I put the letter together and I sent it out as, because I couldn't let it sit. I couldn't let them say, everything that we've done is because of Joe Biden's presidency. Are you kidding me?
You ain't kidding.
Come on. This
That
guy's-
money came in with carrots. That money was here, it had to go here, had to go there, it was mandatory. I mean, and then money had to
There
be
was a
shipped
lot-
to
there was
to
a
the
lot more than
county.
carrots there.
Yeah, you ain't
It
kidding.
was,
Yeah, I mean, this was, a Democrat's dream wish, that money that came in that we had to spend it on.
Yeah, and I mean, they said, well, everybody got so much money. Okay, well, what is it? Michael Biggs, the guy that murdered the police officer in Manchester, got what, $1,400, $1,800?
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
unemployment. Yeah, you ain't kidding. That's
So, I
crazy.
mean,
I don't-
and then we were paying people to stay home because they were making more money with all the extra money they were getting than that. And, I mean, right now, our workforce is still down thousands of people, especially in the hospitality industry.
And that money didn't come in with carrots, it came in with skunk cabbage, I think.
Well, the Democrats tied us up. I don't know how much thousands of millions of dollars we spent in lawyers. They tied us up on, the COVID, meeting at the State House. They
We're
tied,
still in court on it.
Right. And then they went after you on a few other things there, throughout the years there. I mean, it's a damn shame of what they're costing the state there in legal fees. The taxpayers' money there.
And they went after the Secretary of State. There's probably half a dozen lawsuits still pending.
Right. And I mean, that's a damn shame.
This is costing the citizens of the state a lot of money for our Attorney General's office to defend.
Wow.
To defend the position of the legislature and the governor.
Well, I can tell you, I mean, in a way, I'm kind of glad. 16 years, 8 terms, that's long enough for me. I know you're a glutton for punishment there, and you want to make a difference in New Hampshire, but, I got probably be about 38 years in government, so it's time for me to move on.
I'm
But
getting there.
you're getting there, yeah, you ain't kidding. And you got Wayne next to you there, we'll make damn well sure, keep you straight there. But we need your legislators to come back because they're part of leadership. They'll make a difference, and Lieutenant Londonderry will be in the top of the list on making damn well sure that we're not pushed aside like the big cities like a Manchester or Nashua, okay? Because if they take control of the House or Nashua, Londonderry gets pushed aside. Money goes in different directions. That's why it's very important to make damn well sure that you two get elected and that your state representatives are elected, re-elected and stuff. Very important. You agree, Wayne?
Absolutely, 100%.
Yep. And I don't know, have you come up with any new legislation here? Are they on election law? Have they been putting anything together yet, or?
Well, we had a number of study committees, and unfortunately, a number of Republicans were missing at the last, when we had a number of interim study bills, so we weren't able to recommend any for future legislation, which is the only motion you can make at that point. But there's a strong desire to see a better audit system, and we tried to address that this past time. We did get one bill that semi-addresses it. Again, a lot of the problem is with the Senate, because they're so nervous about lawsuits because of, again, SB 3 and others. But certainly that, we're going to continue to tighten up Election Day procedures, the whole ID process and everything else, and just make sure that every legitimate vote is counted.
Right, awesome. Hey, Ron, while you're sitting here, okay, this is your opportunity right now to look the speaker in the eye and tell him what committee you want to be on and why.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. This is your opportunity right now, so the people will see what do you want to do.
And it's
when you're
safer
up
on
there.
your way over there. You can't hit you when you.
Yeah.
Well, actually, as the son of a Marine who's in
Hoorah.
Vietnam,
Semper Fi.
I would be on the committee that you're on. I'd be fine with that. I'd be on anything that's going to make an effective change for water. Because in Londonderry, everyone deserves clean, effective drinking water. So, I would use the speaker as a resource to say, what speaker do you think I'd be the most effective on, as far as what committee? Because maybe he thinks I'm more effective on a different committee than I
Right.
think.
Well,
But I
once
would be
you,
happy to be on veterans.
once you get elected, you're gonna get a card in the mail, and you're gonna have three
Yeah.
choices.
Yep,
Okay, and you'll be able to pick those three
Yeah.
choices, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, Laura, you've been on planning board for years, and you've done a great job there, and common sense approach. Democrats don't understand that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Good of
Thinking
you
out
to
of the,
say.
you were
Thank you.
thinking out of the box all the time on not, this is, oh, we did it this way, oh, this is the old way. No, new ways are better. You know what I mean? And that's why we want young, people running,
Yeah.
to bring up those new, but you can't lose the history in the house that you have right now
Yeah.
because you got problems.
Yeah.
How about you? Tell the speaker where you want.
Well, we've talked a little bit, I think on your last show, about
Mm-hmm.
whether maybe education would be a good spot for me. But like Ron, I'm open to suggestions, I'm open to other ideas. I was actually talking to someone else about Health and Human Services the other day. So, really, first I gotta get elected.
yeah.
Once I get elected, then let's cross the next bridge and
Yeah.
put me where I'm most useful.
So you have to have the attitude like I have. When I'm elected, which I will be, okay, because you know what? New Hampshire needs loud voices.
Yes.
And they
We're
need people
losing
to,
yours.
they need people to speak up, and that's why we've been fortunate to have, Representative Sharon Packett up there for years, and
Yep.
Tom Dolan, the job he's doing, and Dave Lundgren, you know what I mean, and Doug Thomas. I mean, these are rock stars looking out for the state and especially Londonderry. It's a no-brainer. Wayne McDonald on election law, making damn well sure we're protected at the polls, and I mean, it's a no-brainer. What do you think, Sherm? Are we looking good or what?
Oh, I think we're looking good. I mean, I believe that the majority of the citizens in this state understand the disaster it would be, for the Democrats to take over. They would spend us into oblivion. They would regulate us into oblivion. And all the good things that we did, if there was a Democratic takeover in this state, would be repealed.
And again,
And that would be a travesty.
Right.
it's always important to remember the last time they had total control, what was the projected deficit, $850 million.
Oh, I was there. Sherm was there. Yeah, we were there when Bill O'Brien was the speaker and had a cut 850. They hated him. They thought the sky was going to fall. It's the end of New Hampshire.
I was one of the few state employees I was at Health and Human Services. I was involved in welfare fraud prosecutions at the time. I was one of the few state employees that stayed in my office that day. But during the budget debate, a lot of state employees were flooding the State House Plaza protesting, you can't do this, you can't
Oh,
cut
yeah.
the budget, you absolutely can't. And even my boss went over, and he wasn't even politically minded, and even he went over.
Wow.
They said, are you coming? I said, why? I like what they're doing.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's-
Let's look at what happened there. That's when I was 9 and 10. I was minority leader.
Yeah.
Republican leader back then. In 4 years, they increased or instituted 100 new taxes and fees.
Yeah.
100. I had put together a separate budget. I had the former chairman of finance and a former speaker put, excuse me, put together an alternate budget from what the Democrats came out with. And I said to them, you are going to be $800 million deficit next session if you pass this budget. One of the Democratic leaders at the time got up on the floor and said, we have to figure out how much we want to spend so we can figure out how much we raise. Excuse me. No, you don't run a house like that.
No,
You figure out how much you're coming in, and that's how
Right.
much you spend.
right.
So it came to be that, unfortunately, for Bill, when he took over as speaker, he had to fill a gap of $850 million. That was $50 million off. So $850 million, we were in the red.
Yeah.
11 and
Yeah,
12.
11, 12,
11
yeah.
and 12.
That
All
was my first
because of
chairmanship.
the excessive spending of the Democrats.
Look
And-
at the federal situation right now. We don't have to wonder how things would go if the Democrats were in charge.
Oh,
Just
you
look
ain't
at the
kidding.
federal
Yeah, you ain't
situation.
kidding.
I know, we, at very minimum, need to have a good, strong Republican majority to defend against that.
You know, back in 2008, like he was talking about when they did the budget, the Democrats were in charge. I was there, I left at 11:30, Sherman and I, we walked out of there thinking they went to recess, they came to agreement. Democrats come back, Maggie Hassan came back with $30 car surcharge, with other taxes there, projected fake revenues that they came up with to tax the people, cigarette tax, you name it, they brought it in. And we were already gone thinking it was already agreed upon. The next day we find out that this is what they did to the state. So it's a shame. But anyways, listen, we got about 4 minutes, left here. I'm gonna do is, we're gonna go around, we're gonna start with you, Ron.
Sure.
Let's tell the people why they should vote for you and give them your information, how they get in touch with you, and we'll go right down the line.
Sure, my name is Ron Dunn. You can get a hold of me, 781-640-1006, or vote rondunn.com. Why you should vote for me is because I am who I say I am. I'm gonna vote the way I tell you. I'm not gonna change my mind. If you ask me a question, I'm gonna tell you how I feel. There's no gray area. I'm gonna show up for every single vote. I'm not gonna walk out on a vote. I'm gonna have a clear record, so you're not gonna have to wonder where I stand. Let's see, no income tax, no sales tax. I am a lifetime NRA member, so,
Oh,
no, I'm 280 protected. And, I think if you vote for me, you're gonna know where I stand. Whether you like me or not, you're gonna know how I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna be there for every single vote.
Awesome. Laura?
Well, I also think it's really important to be there for every single vote, and I'm really hoping that we increase the Republican majority. I've tried to be real clear on my website, lauraforlondonderry.com, just what my positions are, so people who are considering voting for me will know what to expect. I'm definitely pro-liberty. I was just actually endorsed by the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance. Pro-fiscal responsibility, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment. My background is that I've lived in Londonderry for 20 years. I didn't grow up here. Raised 5 kids here. My husband and I have been very involved in town stuff. We have a son who's a Marine and a son who's about to join the Army. He's going to be going to, going to Norwich to the Army ROTC. So although I feel like I have a lot to learn to catch up with you on veterans issues, I am a strong supporter of our military and our police and our other first responders. So check out my website. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. And I hope to
Awesome.
represent you in Concord.
Defund police is not in our vocabulary at the State
Absolutely
House
not.
amongst the Republicans. Representative, Mr. Speaker, Sharon Packett?
Well, as I said earlier, I've had the pleasure of representing Londonderry for 32 years now. I'm hoping that you'll give me the chance to do another 2 years. And if you do that, I believe I'll be reelected as Speaker, and we'll continue doing the good things that we have done, plus a lot more. And hopefully, it'll be a lot easier this session because we won't have to worry about outside venues of where we had to go, which consumed so much of our time
And money.
and money. We'll be back, we're back in our chamber, we're back in the State House, we're back on having our hearings and everything in the State House. So, all that's been already put together. So I'm asking you to return me to the State House. And I've been in Londonderry for almost 50 years now. I moved here in 1973. So I love this town. And my daughter went to school through the whole school system. My wife and I were very active in sports when she was in the school system. Unfortunately, she passed away just a little under 4 years ago. So I want to continue in representing the citizens of Londonderry at this point.
Awesome. Representative McDonald?
Thank you, Al, and it's been a pleasure to participate in this discussion today. I'm in the process of completing my first term in the New Hampshire House. I've been in politics a long time. I'm a Republican state chairman in previous years. I was with Health and Human Services for 23 years. I'm rounding out 25 years of service in state government, a quarter of a century. I learned a lot about the legislative process. I had insights going in, but certainly it's nothing like actually sitting in the seat, doing the job, being on a committee. Learned a lot, and that experience along with the legislation that I did have the opportunity to participate in and get passed. You know, I want to continue serving and expand on that experience on your behalf. I'm strong on the Second Amendment. I'm against any new taxes. I voted for all of the tax increases that we've discussed. And, you know, I'm against mask mandates, against vaccine mandates, strong on conservative issues. And my cell phone, 603-674-0660. My email, elephantsmarching@msn.com. Would very much appreciate your support and your vote. Thank you.
Well, once again, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming and speaking out on what the Republicans have been doing up in Londonderry and our future state representatives. I will be back again for the next one, another show, but this is Who's Looking Out for You. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.